probably the first question, which will lead to gourmet versus everyday food is, who is the eater of the future, or what is your understanding of customer psyche? And here, what I will do is I will invite both Tushar and Vineet, who come from completely different age spectrums, right? Vineet is like a veteran, like of food. He's seen taste changing. He's seen, what people eat in fine dine versus casual versus cafes. Versus Tushar, who is completely new gen and getting his feet dirty in the business. So both of their perspectives on what is the menu going to be like in cloud kitchens will be very useful. So one of you, I request one of you to pick this up and move ahead.
Tushar, you can start.
Thanks, Vineet. Thanks, Aditya. So it's a very complicated question. Not very easy to define who is the eater of the future, but my perspective and two bits on this is that the eater of the future is the eater of the present. It's just that the frequency goes up. So we might see in the next few years a pattern wherein the customers who are ordering once or twice a week right now will move on to a system where they would be ordering once or twice a day. So that in itself will make it a 7x growth in their ordering pattern. How this will happen is in a way that I think in a few years from now, kitchens will kind of become obsolete in a lot of metro cities. So people will not build homes with kitchens because they would feel that it's just a lot of effort to buy the groceries and then cook it, and then make your own meal. It would be way more convenient for them to log on to their apps, to go to a Swiggy, to go to a Zomato, to go to that restaurant app and place an order directly. The convenience factor in the business and the model has upped so much in the last few years that food comes at a click of a button, food comes in 20 minutes, food comes in 15 minutes. It's not the usual fare that we had 5 years, 6 years back, where food used to take almost an hour, hour and a half. So, and also the fact that the whole spectrum is broadened. So it's not just ordering food is not just a lot of oil-rich, oil-loaded curries coming into the homes, right? There is something for everyone. Anyone who wants to eat a healthy salad, there is the salad to order. Someone who wants to eat Mexican, there is that variety as well. And for some people who want to eat home-cooked food, right? Food which is just similar to what they will cook at home with way less masalas and way less oil. Even that's available at a very wide. That's even very widely available. So the eater of the future might just be the eater of the present. It's just that their frequency goes up 5-6 times, which in effect will broaden the market 5-6 times for the current people in the business. But with more and more people urbanizing, moving into the cities, major tier 2 and tier 1 cities, even they will start getting on these apps and start ordering. That whole notion of ghar ka khana and bahar ka khana, the boundary lines will kind of start fading at one point of time in the next few years. And that's when I feel the market will just go and explore what it can. So if you see the current Indian food delivery market, it is at a very nascent stage. It is still way less than 1/10 of what a US market is and almost 1/20th of what a China market is. So there is a lot to be explored with the kind of people and the number of people that we have in the country. It's just that these systematic barriers will start going off in the next few years, and the market in itself is bound to expand.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, Tushar. We need you have been with Light Fried Foods and you have been with F&B business before. This is a promise that there are two things that apart from everything you should also add. This is a promise that has been given to by F&B industry for very long, right? The frequency of people eating will increase. When I was an investor 10 years back in looking at F&B businesses, India does not eat as much from outside food like let's say Singapore or Malaysia or whatever you want to call it. And two, with your experience, what are the big mega trend shifts that you have seen in this, and how will it help cloud kitchens? How should cloud kitchens take benefit of those mega trends, because you have seen those trends happening in front of you?
Thank you, Aditya. Tushar very rightly mentioned. I mean, the perspective that he has given is excellent, and there is definitely an increase. The eater of the future is eater of present. Very rightly said, Tushar. We have to understand our catchment very closely. Eater of the future might change in a tier 1 city or a metro city, and there is a huge shift happening in tier 2 cities also. So we have to understand our catchment, where we are present. We have to understand the market very well, and we have to understand, we have to, in fact, invest into understanding what our customer needs. So it is very important to listen to the customer and then define your product, rather than taking a product into the market and waiting for the customer to accept it. So there definitely has been a great shift in the market. People have started ordering multiple times in a week, which very rightly mentioned by Tushar, might go up to multiple times in a day also very soon. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the data is not very, the data set that we are looking at is not very, it is slightly skewed because of constrained movements, because of constrained business environment. But it will, once this normalizes a little bit, there will be a huge shift towards eating within your four walls, rather than going out. Going out will definitely be there, but it will be more celebratory. So that is what I feel, and there'll be a huge increase in food delivery market for sure.
If you were to look at, and again between you and Tushar, if both of you were to look at things that you think delivery kitchens can focus or in terms of products, or trends that they can focus on, what would be your top three choices, and Tushar, what would you think would be the top three choices?
See, the most obvious change that we have seen in the last few years is the packaging element. So, we all have been lived that age where every restaurant used to send food in those same old white plastic boxes, right? Whether it was a
Yeah.
high-end place or whether it was a low-end place.
Yeah.
Over the last 2-3 years, there has been a gigantic shift in the way packaging is done across companies, right? People are actually spending almost 100 to 200 rupees per package. There are restaurants I know where you order sushi from, that would come in huge cardboard boxes, inside which there would be multiple plastic boxes to get the dips, get the soy sauce. So it's just insane how, over a few years, the packaging industry has gone multifold, and people are now actually spending on packaging. But that also happens because the customers have started appreciating good packaging. Customers then, when they see a good package at their doorstep, they kind of feel happy about it. They know that, okay, we are paying for a certain packaging, but then it's worth it when it comes to their homes. It takes care that the food does not spill over. It takes care, that everything is in proper shape when it comes. So I guess packaging is a very critical ingredient here. One more thing I will add to this is that with the current scenario and with whatever's happening in the world, I think hygiene around kitchens and making sure that everything is well cleaned and well sanitized, all ingredients are kept in proper spaces, so that that hygiene factor doesn't crop up. It's quite important. And overall as well, a clean kitchen leads to good work happening, right? A good healthy kitchen is what every chef would like to work in, right? That environment when it's neat and tidy. So I guess that cleanliness, the hygienic factors, which I think Zomato and the Swiggy's tried to implement in a way a few years back by giving hygiene ratings across. I think some work can be done on that as well, whereas that customer confidence needs to come back, right? And those are some of the steps that can be taken.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Now, you brought a point like the frequency of eating will go up. While I completely agree that the frequency of eating will go up, hopefully in next 5, 7, 10 years, and we will see substantial shift. I mean, people from your age group, the post millennials will take over and will have families and will drive a cultural shift in eating out. The choice is, the question will be, will people actually eat everyday food out of cloud kitchens? And if that is the case, how will it work? So, for a cloud kitchen today, somebody is trying to create a brand. How do they choose between gourmet food versus everyday food? Again, we have two of you here. Vineet, who comes from the world of gourmet and would have transitioned between gourmet, made the tough choice of leaving what he knew so well to probably what sells in the market, right? Sells at the right price point, makes money, and all that. And you have made that choice grounds up. You've made the choice कि क्या बिकेगा, इसमें पैसा बनेगा, the kind of choice that you make in business. Would love to hear from you, how you have made their choices and what do you think works, how much, gourmet versus everyday food. Which one makes money? How much proportion of what is important in your menu? Is it possible to straddle both the choices? That also is very important as a brand.
I would say, yes, it is very important to have the right balance in your menus. Definitely, there is a growth in aspirational dining at home. So
Okay.
while I mean the choices change, depending on your company, depending on who you are who you are eating with. So if you are eating alone at your work desk, for example, your ordering patterns are totally different while you are eating with the family, ordering in for the family. So there has to be a right balance. As I mentioned earlier, also, you have to understand your customer well. You have to know what is the demand in your area and then define. So once we have the right balance, uh, I feel there is enough volume available for both home style food also and the low AOV in technical jargon, what we talk about, and the gourmet food also. So while a person is entertaining some guests, or he or she is ordering for the family, then there are a lot of gourmet choices which should be available in your menu, and higher AOVs are generated during those orders. But primarily, there are single diners who generate low AOV orders, because at that time the need is to fill your stomach, not to fill your stomach with something which is neatly made, hygienically prepared, and safe to eat.
Yeah.
Does not need to be a very a salmon or a very high end food or a gourmet food.
What are you looking for in a cloud kitchen when you are wanting to fund it? What are the key checks you do?
Thanks, Aditya. So I think before going to a place on saying what is it that we look for, I think it's important for entrepreneurs to understand the investment cycle, so that they know how to approach the right investor at the right time. And I think it's primarily a function of first the amount of money that you're wanting to raise. So what we've seen is that a lot of time people are wasting their energies going to the wrong set of investors depending on the amount of money that they want to raise. So for it, what I mean by that is that, there is this whole pre-seed or angel round, which is when you've just started out and you're just experimenting and you want to do like, say, maybe, one setup thing. And there you say, okay, my requirement is less than 50 lakh rupees. Okay. At that point, the best place to look for money is either friends or family. These are people who are wanting to invest in you, irrespective of whether you succeed or not. Or the other very good thing that has started coming up in in the ecosystem is incubators and accelerators. People who are cutting the first check. So you're looking at uh, going to these incubators, accelerators, or friend and family, which is only at the concept stage. So you've said, listen, I want to set up a dark kitchen and this is my hypothesis and I need 50 lakhs to experiment or do whatever. So that's where you go to these investors. Then there is this zone of say 1 crore to say a couple of crores, 2 or 3 crores, which will help you get onto the highway. So I keep using this terminology that you will need to get onto the investment highway. Don't keep standing on the side. And for that, you need to now say, okay, I need say 1 crore to 3 crores, which will help me run for the next, say, anywhere between the next 12 to 18 months. Okay. That's the place where you go to networks like ours. So you go to networks like ours, you go to what are called micro VCs, you go to smaller VCs, people who are cutting what is called the pre-series A check. These are people who are again early believers in your business. They would want, how they would be different from the first guy is that because yours is a retail business and it is a B2C, right? They will need to see some traction. So this is not an idea stage. So like this is where we come in. We will say, okay, very good idea, very good concept, but where is the traction? So you will need traction for this kind of money to be raised. And this money can ideally last you anywhere between 12 to 18 months. And then once you have proven yourself at that point where chances are that most of your early believers would be individuals, HNIs, family offices, smaller VCs. And then from there, you start moving on to a series A where you go to funds, series B, etc. And then of course, as series A, B, C happen and series ABC actually it's just an industry terminology and it's all there are no clear lines dividing it, so don't worry too much about it, but it's just about raising more and more money in your next rounds, right? So I think that's also, if you are somebody who's starting out now, don't waste your time going to VCs and saying, oh, let me go to a larger VC. It's a waste of time, right? So that's the one thing. The second thing I always say is that don't raise money till you really need it. It's very simple coming from an investor, but you should be absolutely sure that you want the money and you know exactly how you're going to use it. So that's the other bit that we do. From our perspective, so if you let's just cut back to say, okay, what is we as a network, we as a platform, what have we seen over the past couple of years, and what do we look for when we're looking at? So for us, it is two things. One is one of what gets a lot of interest for us from the dark kitchen, cloud kitchen perspective is the food tech. So we are, as investors, we are looking at the two things that are there in this specific business. A, like Vineet had highlighted, do you know who your customer is? Because this is such a crowded market and there are so many options, and like Tushar mentioned, you're not just competing with the next pizza guy. You're competing with anybody who's providing food at that price point. That's who you're competing with. Do you know what is your USP there? Because for us as an investor to just look at this and quickly dismiss it saying, oh, this is a Me Too model, is far more easier in this space than it is in any other space. So many options out there. So you will be able to come back and say, listen, I'm doing this and this is what my specialty is. So for example, it could be, it could be a price point. It could be a certain kind of, cuisine, that certain kind of customer that you're going after. So I agree in saying that a cuisine is a much narrower way of defining it than saying this is the price point customer, or you say this is the customer.
How have you gone about making that choice? And as a young brand, do you think it's possible for both to exist in the same brand from a brand positioning perspective and ops perspective, both of that?
So let's just understand that the food and beverage industry is a market which is very unique in its own. So one factor that we all kind of not take into account is that we are not just competing in any industry. You're competing with people who are making the same product, right? So an AC manufacturer, would a Daikin for that matter will not care what what a Hyundai is doing, right? But or let's say or any other electronic company is doing in their segment. But here in the restaurant industry, what happens is you're hunting for that same customer who is one day looking to order a pizza and the other day looking to order a biryani, third day he wants a khichdi. So what happens is you're not just so pizza brand will not just compete with rival pizza companies. They will also indirectly compete with all the burger companies out there, all the salad brands out there, all the North Indian kitchens out there. So in a sense that you're trying to capture that customer who's not even sure if he wants to order that cuisine that day. So to get out of this problem, it's not possible in a dine-in space, but in a delivery kitchen, what people tend to do is that they kind of do a horizontal expansion where they try to fit in as many cuisines as possible. Now, a biryani and a pizza is a combination which might not work, but a pizza and a burger and a sandwich brand or a Lebanese brand might work because of the kind of equipments used are quite similar. Whereas if you go make a North Indian and a pizza at the same time, the kitchen will get messed up because it's a different workstation that you need for the biryani, and the North Indian and a pizza is a very different workstation that you will have to create. So those are the things I think what people are doing. And coming to your gourmet question, see, one thing you have to also understand that whatever you do, at the end of the day, that order is being taken by an aggregator delivery boy, right? Whether it's a Zomato delivery boy or a Swiggy delivery boy. Now, you can give all your heart in making that food. Yeah? You can hire the best of the chefs across the world, and they can they can make a very good presentation of that food, that sushi or that whatever dish you're creating, that lasagna can be the best made and best presented. But what if it comes upside down at the home of the customer? Will it leave the same impact? Because trust me, the customers are not ready to leave cut slack. They don't care whether it's the mistake of the delivery boy or whether it's the mistake of the restaurant. At the end of the day, the delivery kitchen bears the brunt, right? At least some shared responsibility is there. So that is one problem which I feel gourmet brands kind of face. So the only way out for them is to actually, a gourmet brand can be run very well from an established or a running dine-in brand. So you already have a good walk-in coming to that restaurant. You're not very heavily dependent on aggregators. Those customers can probably come and pick up the food from you whenever they want. And even if they're ordering, that you can ask that customer to directly order from your apps or from your own whatever ordering sources that you use. So a stand-alone gourmet delivery kitchen is very hard to sustain due to almost non-negligible customer base. And even when the customer base available, the order frequency is super low for you to sustain with a gourmet brand. So even if you're opening a gourmet delivery kitchen, you have to add other horizontal or vertical brands, maybe in the same cuisine but at different price points, so that you at least get those orders coming in on the odd days when can't when you're not getting that gourmet customer coming in. That's what we have been.
So I think we have a little limited time. We have 10 more minutes to answer to cover this up. But we need you. Tushar made a very important point that Tushar almost said that gourmet itself cannot sustain the business, and probably the better way to do if you want to create a gourmet brand is to actually for a gourmet restaurant to actually start doing delivery, because they're anyways known for the gourmet food and they will get some extra revenues. Now, you have been on the gourmet side and you've seen the transition. Now, is that a challenge and does it work?
Gourmet delivery definitely works, but it is very important to adjust your menu according to the delivery cycle. It is very rightly mentioned that finally it is the delivery executive of an aggregator who is delivering the food, and who is how it is handled is beyond beyond the control of a person running the kitchen. But that is where menu engineering comes into play. You have to design your delivery menu. Your delivery menu and dine-in menu could completely be different. The delivery menu has to be designed in such a way that it can be delivered well and it travels fast.
Yeah.
It reaches to the customer in the right way. And that is why the packaging is changing.
Right.
There is a constant evolution of packaging material which is being used by delivery kitchens. Those who can afford to have to spend, to pay, there are customers who are ready to pay up to 10% of the total order value towards
Packaging.
and there
Yeah,
are which
you will
are
be actually shocked to know that the AOVs, sorry to cut you in, the AOVs on the platforms, there are places, there are some brands who are doing almost 2000 plus AOVs, which was unimaginable a few years back.
correct.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, there has to be, so it is very important what your brand positioning is. But while looking at your positioning, there have to be some aspirational items which have to be included and which can be very easily included in the menu, keeping in keeping in mind all the operational challenges and everything. You can always have an aspirational item which gives a chance to your customer to order on a higher AOV. That gives you a benefit as a operator, and it gives a variety to the customer.